Hello, I'm Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz and welcome to another housing report brought to you in association with Bank of New Zealand. Today we look at figures from the Real Estate Institute of New Zealand and quotable value for January on property values, prices and volumes. Overall, they show that the housing market is warming up a bit over the last few months, and January not too much different. When you look at volumes and prices, they are up, particularly in central Auckland and in Christchurch. The Real Estate Institute of New Zealand figures, the REINZ figures, show the national median price steady at $355,000 in January from December. However, the number of sales that went through in January were up 25% from a year ago, and that's the highest since January 2008. However, the volumes were down from December, as you'd expect, as people are on their summer holidays. Seasonally adjusted though, the numbers were pretty much steady. Now overall, volumes up about 25% from a year ago, but remember they're still quite a bit down from the boom times of 2002 to 2006-07 or so. Now, the Real Estate Institute of New Zealand Price Index, remember this is not the median price, the price index, shows prices actually fell 1.4% in January from December. However, they are up 4.3% from a year ago. The Real Estate Institute Index actually strips out some of the volatility in the numbers because it accounts for the skew you sometimes get when lots of properties are sold in a particular price band, which can move the median up or down. However, overall, the REINZ price index shows prices, although up 4.3% from a year ago, are still 3.8% below their peak, remember, of the top of the boom time in late 2007. Now, the quotable value figures also came out today. They're a different set from the REINZ. They don't actually measure prices, they look at values of properties. They also compare prices in the 3 months to January from the 3 months a year ago. They tend to be less volatile and less skewed, and what they show is that values rose 1.1% in January and are up 2.7% from a year ago. So that makes sense. Prices up around 3 to 4% from a year ago. However, prices or values, according to QV, are still around about 3.3% below their peak. So that makes sense too. Both QV and REINZ are saying that prices, values, about 3 to 4% below the peak we saw in 2007, but they're up 3 to 4% from where they were a year ago. However, QV did differ slightly when they talked about the provinces, showing they're continuing to struggle, again painting this picture of a two-speed market. Auckland and Christchurch doing quite well in volumes, but also prices, because migration or a lack of supply, or both. And you can see that when we go to the chart of the housing price index for the REINZ. Now remember, this is the stratified measure. It takes out some of that volatility, gets rid of the skew. Probably the best measure, you would say, and the most up-to-date measure of what's happening with prices. And that shows, you can see here for this chart that we look at, which is at the bottom of this article. You can see in this chart that prices, certainly since the top of 2007, down through the worst of the recession in 2008-2009, back up again when interest rates hit their record lows, bumping along there for the last couple of years, up a bit in the last year or so, but really not really sprinting ahead nationally. And when you take it back and look at a longer term period, which you can do by jiggling with the chart there, you can see the boom time 2003-04 to 2007. That's when the price appreciation really hit, and we've been sort of bumping along since then, off the worst of it in 2009, but certainly not back to the peak we saw in 2007. So that's nationally. Bit of a different picture in Auckland, a bit more volatile, and certainly prices there are right up near their peaks in Auckland. And when you drill down even closer to central Auckland, prices are up at their record highs. And you can see here Auckland took off through 2005, 2006, 7, peaked, down a bit, up a bit, flat, up a bit in the last 6 months or so. Now let's have a look at Christchurch. Obviously, there's been a lot of properties that have been damaged by the earthquake. Again, similar picture to the rest of the country. Boom time, down again through the recession, up a bit. And certainly in the last 6 months or so, we've seen prices transacted quite good for those ones that obviously haven't been damaged. So overall, price figures for January show the market, particularly in Auckland and Christchurch, quite warm, not back to the hot times of 2006-07, but certainly up from a year ago. I'm Bernard Hickey. That was a special housing report brought to you in association with Bank of New Zealand.